Hi guys, this is AdmiralMcFish, and today I'm going to show you how to hack boss characters in arcade fighting games. Now, you're going to need two things before you start hacking. One, you're going to need the program that you want to hack open. In this case, I'm using MAME, and this is for arcade fighting games, so for the better part, you're going to be using MAME if you need to hack. The second thing you need, and this is essential, is you need a kind of hacking program. I personally use ArtMoney. I think it's very, very good, very, very useful. Some people prefer Cheat Engine, and that's perfectly fine. I think that's useful as well. But I'd recommend ArtMoney. It's very easy to use, very user-friendly, much easier to use than I think some other programs. I'd recommend it. What you might also want is a copy or a document of Word open. This is because you're going to need to write down a few things here and there in regards to how the characters work, or how they're stored in terms of format in the game. What do I mean by this? Well, it's difficult to explain, but essentially, in a fighting game, you have characters who are associated essentially with values in the code. This is to say that every single character has a number which is associated with them, and when you pick said character, it means that the game processes that by putting the number in the address itself, that is to say the character address, and then it in turn loads said character. For instance, if I selected Captain America here, it would load the value 3, and therefore it would load Captain America as my playable character. Coding is a difficult thing to explain, but it's essential in order to actually hack characters in the first place. If you're wondering how character values work, they actually start at the value 0, 0, and then move their way up from that. It's in a format that is called hexadecimal format, hexa meaning 6 and decimal of course meaning 10. And how that works essentially is it starts at 0, 0, and then moves its way to 0, 1, 0, 2, etc., up to 0, 9. It doesn't, however, immediately just go on to 10. What actually happens is that you then have 6 values which themselves are actually letters. So 0A, 0B, 0C, etc. If you're wondering what this means in the whole, it's just when you get into the later character values. In terms of actually hacking, this won't come up too much in terms of what you're trying to look for. It's just important to keep in mind because this is how coding works for these games. So if you're actually wondering how do you hack these values in question, well, basically, it's difficult to explain, but it's just about searching for a value associated with a character, and then changing to a different character, filtering for that value instead, and then continuing to do that until we find the character address. You see, we can't innately know what the character address is. It's not denoted in the coding itself, that the coding is just a bunch of numbers. However, if we search for certain values we know to be certain characters, we can begin to slowly find the address, and once we find the address, we can force it to load a value associated with a boss who we wouldn't be able to use otherwise. Here in Avengers and Galactic Storm, as you can see, we've got 8 characters. The boss of this game is a guy called Core. Now, there are 8 characters. You always take one number away when you're trying to work out a character value. So, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, etc., all the way up to 0, 7. This means, therefore, Core will be 0, 8. But first we have to search for these values to find the address in the first place, which I'll show you. Now, ShatterX here, I'll also make a save state, that's a good idea. ShatterX here, you want to search for 0, 1, because of course he's the second character, if it will do that. Right, and then load again. Go to Captain America, search for 3, of course, because he's the 4th character. Then go to Thunderstrike, search for 4, because of course he's the 5th character. And now we have a value, or we have an address. You know, so go here, that's 1. Go up to here, if it will load properly. Go up to here, and we've got 7. So what we found right now is the character address, because we knew the values. What if you don't know the values? That's when it gets complicated. Luckily though, most arcade fighting games are this simple. The first character on the far left of the screen will be character value 00, and the character values will go steadily up as you go along. So this will be 01, 02, 03, etc. Usually it is that simple. For some games though, it's much more complicated, and I'll have to do a series of videos about how complicated it was to hack those values. But here it's relatively simple. So we've got 8 characters, that means that the highest value will be 07. So, we know Galencore is the boss. If he's a boss, that means he must be a value we can't get to, so he must be a higher value than the max value of playable characters. So we'll put an 8. Then we click this. Now, this button here, this section, incredibly important. If you don't do this, the game usually will not allow you to play a said character. A lot of coding has what's called a failsafe, where if it tries to go to a value it's not supposed to go to, it will automatically change to something else in order to stop the game crashing. That's a sign of good coding. Here though, we don't want that. We want to make sure that it is loading the value we want to. And this means that you freeze the value in place, you force the game to allow you to hack this character, and as a result you will be able to play as the boss. As you can see, there's nobody appearing there. That's a good sign. And there we go. That's Galencore. As you can see that, and that's it, just because he's character value 8. And that allows you to play as him. And it really is just that simple. I know that seems kind of crazy, but it's true. Of course, it's not uniform for every game. Some games are more difficult to hack than others, but as soon as you got this down, that's it. I'd like to give also big thanks to the user Razor Balan, who showed me how to do this in the first place. This information, unfortunately, isn't as widely available as it should be. So I hope that this was helpful in showing you how to actually do this, and showing you how this works. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. It's no problem. And I will be doing more videos about how to do this in the future with specific games, if you request them, as well as certain games where it's more difficult to find said characters and to find their character values, as well as sort of certain techniques in order to find said values in more difficult games. Thanks very much.